find C.J. Spiller for something other than sitting on the fucking bench.
31 other passes that should have been intercepted.
So that's why I have David Johnson on my board higher.
If you're doing a live draft, wait till you're drunk to draft this guy. We welcome you to the Fifth Down.
What up, Fifth Downers? This is Kane Mill. How y'all doing tonight? Got my buddy Johnny Slokes here. We're going to go over some divisional round matchups. The wild card weekend kind of let us down, but we're going to go into and hopefully get some good football this weekend. What do you think, Johnny?
So the national title game kind of made up for it. It was a very exciting second half of that game. Before we get into everything, though, I just want to do a little bit of station identification. We're part of the BS Podcast Network. You can there's not only just fantasy football there. They also have all kinds of. It seems to me it hears like a lot of weird podcasts about different shit. I've listened to a couple of them. They're pretty entertaining and funny, to say the least. You can find all their podcasts on www.bspodcastnetwork.com. If you want to look for us on there, we're on the gold tier. Another great way to find our shows. You can also find us on iTunes. You can find us on Spreaker. You can find us on Stitcher. If we had to only watch one game this weekend, what game would that be for you? Your head. There's a lot of good games this weekend, but I think the one I'm really looking forward to is the Green Bay-Dallas game. I think this is a game where a lot of people are expecting Dallas to come out on top, but I think that Green Bay is going to pull it off. I think that the upset's going to happen. See, I'm gonna be different, and I'm gonna stay in the same conference. But I'm gonna be different. I'm gonna pick the Atlanta and Seattle game, just because a lot of people are saying, "Oh, the Seattle's defense isn't quite the same." They're really good against Detroit. I want to see that matchup. I do think that Seattle does have a decent chance to beat Atlanta. I'm not calling but.
I think they do too. I think you're right. I think that there'll be good plays made. I definitely don't think that this will be a blowout by any means. But I just, I think that Atlanta's defense, I wouldn't say they're the greatest by any means. They're definitely susceptible to pass. But they've been a pretty improved unit this year, and we all know the story on their offense. And I just don't think that Seattle has the dogs to, get them to the end of the race, this year, because that offensive line has struggled all year. And, the defense, has taken a little bit of a step back.
Oh, let's not bust our nuts in the first 5 minutes of the show.
Yeah.
There's been a lot of coaching changes going on so far. Usually once one team names their head coach, other teams are soon to follow. Denver has found their guy. It kind of surprised me. Vance Joseph, the defensive coordinator from Miami, is now the head coach of Denver. As a Denver fan, how do you feel about that?
I like the hire. It's an aggressive move. It's really making a statement that Denver's a defensive team. They hired the defensive coordinator. And actually what's funny is they interviewed him, 2 years ago back in 2013, and they didn't end up giving him the job. They ended up hiring Gary Kubiak, obviously. But, I like the move. The only thing that really, concerns me is, Wade Phillips won't be back, which is really a disappointment because, we saw probably our best year of a defensive coordinator ever under Wade Phillips. So it's really disappointing to see him go, but I'm really looking forward to what Vance Joseph can do.
Rumors are that he wants to be, like you said, Wade Phillips isn't going to be back because there's rumors that Vance Joseph wants to bring in his own guys. He wants to bring in Mike McCoy, the head coach from San Diego. He wants to bring in his offensive coordinator, and he also wants to bring in his defensive guy as well.
Yeah, I think that's a great hire, especially on the offensive side. And I heard that, I can't remember his name, but it's something Mott. He wants to bring in his defensive coordinator. But I also heard that there's speculation that he's going to be calling the defensive plays.
That wouldn't surprise me. He's a defensive coach. That's probably why he's not bringing Wade Phillips back. He wants to call the shots,
Yeah, and it's understandable. So, and not to, toot John Elway's horn too much, and sound like I'm blowing him, but he usually makes good decisions. And so I'm going to go ahead and just sit here and trust in him. even this year being a down year, we were that close to making the playoffs. So, I trust in him, and it seems like we found a good guy.
Well, let's stay on this same topic. Obviously Wade Phillips is going to be gone. What do you think about the possibility of him staying within the division and going to maybe Oakland?
Man, I tell you, if he goes to Oakland, I think that's a great hire for Oakland because they've had an up and down year on defense this year, and I think that Wade Phillips could definitely be a good hire for them. I think that's scary as a Denver fan, thinking that you could face, two former Denver coaches on the same team, Jack Del Rio and Wade Phillips, and they're both good coaches. But I don't think that Oakland's very likely just because, Jack Del Rio by trade is a defensive coordinator.
It would be very interesting because, obviously Oakland doesn't have a very good defense, but they do have some nice pieces, especially up front. If they can get themselves a safety, get themselves a corner, that would be a really good hire. It's just pure rumor right now. There's also been rumors that he could go to Los Angeles, which I think that would be a really good defense if he went to Los Angeles because LA has some pretty good talent all around. So.
Oh yeah, definitely. I think that LA is the best bet, and I think that he could really turn that into a formidable unit.
Imagine if they landed McDaniels and they landed Wade Phillips. That'd be pretty good.
Yeah, better than Jeff Fisher.
And it's just totally speculation, though. Staying with the head coaching carousel, what do you call it? The Bills have hired their head coach as well, Sean McDermott. He was the defensive coordinator for a while over there in Carolina. I think it was for like 6 years. So he finally gets his shot. That kind of opens the doors of where's Lynn going to go? We always thought that he was going to be the next head coach of the Bills, and all of a sudden they signed somebody else. So that's another offensive coordinator that could maybe he goes to Oakland because they let their offensive coordinator go.
Yeah, I think he'll definitely be going somewhere else, and it is surprising because I think that he would actually have been a pretty good hire. He's been pretty good over the years. It's just it's hard to see, and I don't really know, that I really like this McDermott hire. And this is just speculation. I feel like the GM Whaley, he doesn't have a lot of control, and what's going to end up happening is in 3 years the Bills aren't going to be successful. They're going to end up cleaning house anyway. So it's like, why don't they just do it right now?
It seems like every 2 years the Bills has a different head coach. They're like you said, the upper management in that franchise is terrible. That's why they haven't made the playoffs since like 1999. It just seems like they're never on the same page with Rex Ryan. And honestly, this might be an unpopular opinion, but I think they gave Rex Ryan a raw deal.
Yeah, I think they didn't give him a chance either. And I've never been Rex Ryan's biggest fan, but they definitely, they need to, you need to keep a coach hired for more than 2 years in most cases, unless he makes a lot of, bad decisions. And I think that Rex Ryan, did, a pretty decent amount for what anybody could do in 2 years, with that team.
Yeah, like I said, they just didn't give him enough time. There's really no telling what he could have done with that team. They do have some young talent there on defense, so it's kind of a shame to see that they didn't give him enough time to develop. You know what I mean?
Yeah. I actually heard a rumor that he got fired over a conference call.
No, I heard was that Rex Ryan came right up to him. He's like, listen, if you think there's a chance I can get fired this offseason, just fire me now. And basically, he was pissed off that they were benching Tyrod Taylor. He's like, if you're gonna fire me, just do it now. So they did.
Now, I heard that he was asking about the next week. He's like, hey, what's the game plan next week about any? I was asking the GM or whatever, and then the GM was like, actually, you won't be with us next week, and fired him. One
last question on some coaches. This is just because I find this both pretty absurd. Who are you more surprised that didn't get fired between Chuck Pagano and Marvin Lewis?
I've always liked Marvin Lewis. I think that he's a good coach. I think that sometimes he's had, bad personnel decisions, or like he's had problems controlling his personnel, and so I think he needs to work on that. But I've never thought that he, hasn't been a good coach. Cincinnati struggled this year because of injuries. However, I think that it's absolutely absurd to think that Chuck Pagano still has a job in the NFL, man. I mean, I don't know what Irsay was thinking. I don't know how this guy is an NFL head coach still. He is horrible at time management. It seems like he makes some of the most boneheaded decisions as a head coach, and I just don't understand how he's still a head coach.
My take on both of these guys, I don't think Marvin Lewis is a terrible coach by any means, but he's just never been able to get his team over that hump. Like, they always get to the playoffs and then they do nothing. And I just feel like it's time for them to move on, and they're content with them right now. So we'll see how that plays. We'll move Cotton. Let's see if it plays out.
Yeah, I guess.
But Chuck Pagano, he absolutely should not be in Indianapolis right now. I mean, I just don't feel like he makes good decisions. I don't even feel like him and the GM are even on the same page. The fans, they made a sign. They went to the team headquarters and they put the sign on the door that said, "Stop wasting luck."
Yeah, no, and that's what another thing too. You think about this. Andrew Luck is in his prime right now, and what they're doing is they're surrounding him with mediocre talent. With Peyton Manning, at least he had nice supporting cast members. Seems like Andrew Luck, he's pretty much got T.Y. Hilton, and that's it. 'Cause they don't put anybody on the defensive side of the ball. They got Vontae Davis, but I'm really struggling to name legit playmakers on this team. They really have done.
They got some nice pieces on offense. I mean, they got T.Y., they got Dante Moncrief, they got, in my opinion, the expendable Philip Dorsett. They got another expendable guy in Dwayne Allen, and Frank Gore, he's on his last leg. They also, on the defensive side, they just lost their only viable pass rusher in Robert Mathis to retirement. They have just a depleted secondary. They haven't done a good job building. You're right. You're absolutely right. It seems like they're trying to give them all these toys to play with. And, it's like, oh, well, we can pick between Kobe Fleener and Dwayne Allen. I mean, not like Kobe Fleener is going to move heaven and earth and everything like that, but he's better than Dwayne Allen. Dwayne Allen runs like a 4.9 40.
Yeah, it's ridiculous, the decisions that they've made. I think it starts with management. But Chuck Pagano, I mean, it comes in late in games. He doesn't know when to use a timeout, simple things like that. He just has boneheaded clock management skills. And let's not even get into the fact. Probably has a tiny dick, but let's not even get into the fact that worst play I've ever seen on TV, that swinging gate play where the backup safety hikes the ball to a backup.
They had to Whalen or whatever.
Yeah, to Whalen, and then it was just and then Bill Belichick was just like, "What the fuck are you doing?" and then the funniest part was when he was asked in the press conference after that. They said, "What was that play all about?" And then he goes, "I don't know why he hiked the goddamn ball."
Well, why line up like that then?
Yeah, exactly. I don't know why he hiked the goddamn ball.
Let's go over some more news and notes. Darius Green was not at practice today. It does not look like he's going to play this week. So Jesse James is going to get the start. That sounds like a bandit from the Old West, Jesse James.
Yeah. Jesse.
Justin Houston's expected to play. It's a nice piece for the Kansas City defense. The big one for me, though, Jordy Nelson is in rehab right now. He's obviously not going to practice tomorrow. He's not going to practice Friday. They're going to see if he could practice Saturday. If he could practice Saturday, he's going to play. 2 fractured ribs, though. It's kind of making me think he's not going to play.
I have a feeling that it's going to be a no from Jordy Nelson this week, but look for Randall Cobb to get more involved this week. I mean, he had a monster game with Jordy Nelson out, and I'm really not too worried about Aaron Rodgers and this offense without him.
It's going to be it's going to be Devontae, Randall Cobb, and they're going to insert Geronimo. Oh wait, no, they're not going to insert John Ellison because he got busted with pot. Let's see. Ryan Tannehill still may need surgery, and my thing on that is if they don't know if he needs surgery by now, that's a bad sign, in my opinion. Like, how do you not know yet?
Yeah, how do you not know your quote-unquote franchise quarterback needs surgery or not?
Yeah, like a beat writer asked Adam Gase about it, and he's like, I have no idea. When the question was, does he need major reconstructive surgery? Yeah, I have no idea. I mean, that's telling me he's gonna miss the entire offseason.
Sounds like it. I mean, to be honest, I personally think Miami should just go with Matt Moore. I feel like there's really not that much of a drop-off, if any.
Jonathan Stewart could be done in Carolina. Carolina is opting to not pick up Jonathan Stewart, Mike Colbert, or Fozzie Whitaker. So you know what that's telling me, right?
Pain train, baby, pain train.
No, not pain train. Dalvin Cook. He's gonna get drafted there. In my opinion.
That would be pretty sick. I would love Dalvin Cook there.
I think they got the 8th overall pick. They even go for Dalvin Cook or go for Leonard Fournette.
Yeah, well, I feel like Leonard Fournette. Well, I don't want to open up a can of worms here, but I think Leonard Fournette won't be there. But I think either of those guys in that offense would be really nice. But the thing is, though, is I would not want Leonard Fournette to go there just because Cam Newton will cut into his work and it'll cut into what he can, do.
I mean, to me, it seems like Fournette, though, would be a better fit for them just because they like to run that power run offense, and, that's pretty much what he does. Although he could pretty much do whatever the fuck he wants. So, I don't know, that's just my 2 cents. One last bit of news. Ezekiel Elliott into a minor car wreck. No injury, though, means no news. And no foot issue for Big Ben, according to the time. So.
Yeah, I've heard the same.
All right, let's jump into some of our matchups. Which side do you want to start, AFC or NFC?
Let's go with the AFC because we've spent a little bit of time already talking a little bit about the NFC. So.
All right, so let's talk about. We'll get this one out of the way real quick. You got the Houston Texans on the road against the New England Patriots. How do you see Houston winning this game? Because they've never beaten New England Patriots.
All right, I will tell you the one way that Houston wins this game is if Tom Brady, while entering the stadium, trips over a rock and busts his knee open and can't play. That's the only way that Houston has a chance. But
the Russians hacked the scoreboard.
Yeah, if the Russians hack the scoreboard like they hacked the goddamn election, then we might have Houston win. There's no. I'm sorry, Texans. There's no way that there's going to be an all-Texas Super Bowl this year. It's just not going to happen. I don't see it happening. Brock Osweiler, Cockswallower. I'm sorry. He's been inconsistent all year. We know the story. I don't need to repeat it. This defense has been impressive, though, but, this is the Patriots. No team can stop. Unless you're the Denver Broncos, no team can stop Tom Brady, at least to this point.
Yeah, I think they have something like Tom Brady, in his last 55 home games, he's won 54 of them. So it doesn't even matter that they have Cockswallower as a quarterback. They could have fucking Jesus as a quarterback for all I know.
Yeah.
Obviously, they're going to have to get Lamar Miller into the game. I liked what I seen out of him last week. I was also liking the fact that they were targeting DeAndre Hopkins. It's something that we don't normally see, but they were working their stars in that game against Oakland. But Oakland's defense doesn't really compare to New England's defense. New England actually had the number 1 scoring defense in the league. So that's not looking too good for Houston.
No, it's not. Yeah, it's just New England just looks very complete on both sides of the ball this year, and Houston has a lot of question marks, except for really on defense. Even on defense, they have their holes. I don't see it. I can't even make with a straight face make a prediction that Houston will win this game.
I think the last 3 games Tom Brady has played Houston, he has 7 touchdowns, 0 interceptions, 3 wins.
All I gotta say is, Houston got beat soundly by the same New England team with a 3rd-string quarterback, and that's pretty much all you need to know.
They got shut out too.
shut out.
I think last time I seen the spread in this game, New England was favored by 16.5 points in a playoff game.
That's terrible.
No, that's telling me, though. I think Blunt will be having a good game in this one. They're going to definitely lean on him, especially in the second half. He's obviously the red zone bully for this team. He's going to soak up a lot of those red zone carries. Although, he might be picked for a job, to be honest.
I think if New England loses this game, I think I'm going to question literally everything in the world. Like I'm going to question if I'm gay or not, because just because, like, it doesn't make sense, No,
I'm saying I think this playoffs. I think for these playoffs, I think LeGarrette Blount could be playing for his job next year. I mean, he just turned 30 years old. I mean, he seems like he's kind of expendable to New England, at least in my eyes. Maybe he can change their mind if he has a good playoffs.
I'll come out with a separate opinion and say that I, regardless of how well he does or doesn't do this season, I think that he's not going to be in New England next year.
Very well, very well.
This team is too deep at running back, and there's too many running back needy teams. And Bill Belichick has proven time and time again he has no problem with letting LeGarrette Blount go and then bring him back. So he'll never. I don't know. He's had a good season, but he'll never be a non-expendable guy to Bill Belichick.
You've been hearing rumors about Christian McCaffrey going to New England?
No, I hope he goes to Denver. I hope to God he goes to Denver. I love that kid, man. Such a stud.
No, he's white. He's going to New England.
Yeah, I mean, we all know how they like those little white boys.
Yeah, this could be the one thing I want to see in this game, though, is I want to see is if the Texans can get some pass rush on Tom Brady, because I think that is one area where they can attack this New England offense in the trenches. So I want to see in this, because I do think they'll be able to get after him.
Yeah, I think so too. I think they'll definitely put him under some duress at times in this game, but I think that ultimately this New England offense is just so dynamic and so diverse, and they can hit you in so many different ways. It's just, I think that it'll slow Tom Brady, but it will not stop him.
It'll also be interesting to see how these corners match with some of these faster, shiftier receivers that New England has as well. So, I mean, I don't really know if they actually face an offense quite like this all year. So, I mean, it's definitely going to be a tall task for them.
Yeah, definitely.
All right. Let's go over to the Pittsburgh Steelers. They're going on the road against the Kansas City Chiefs. This is probably the best game in the AFC. It could be the game to watch throughout the whole divisional round. I know some people are really looking forward to this game. Who do you have winning this game and why?
Well, I think that this is one where I do think it's going to be a good game. And honestly, this is my second favorite game this week in the divisional round. But I like Pittsburgh. Their offense is so dynamic. And I'll put a caveat on that. If Big Ben starts, which it sounds like he will, he has a minor foot issue. But and I think, and I'll actually say the biggest thing I think, and the reason why Pittsburgh will win this game is because this is a very good Kansas City defense, but they're burnable, with these really fast receivers, and that's exactly what Pittsburgh has, and especially Antonio Brown. He showed last week, that he was burning Miami left and right, and I think that he'll do the same to Kansas City, because like I said, I really don't think that these corners are necessarily really good corners. They're very opportunistic corners. Like, they get a lot of picks, they get a lot of turnovers, but man, when it comes to a guy like Antonio Brown, I think he's going to burn him a couple times.
Yeah, I think that this could be a game where the Pittsburgh offense could let them down, just because every time Big Ben gets an injury and he tries to play through it, he ends up coming back and putting up a stinker. So that's definitely the thing I want to look out for, because I was reading a report about his injury, and he said that he just got an old foot injury, like a foot fracture. Like, wait, you tweaked a foot fracture? What the fuck does that mean? So
yeah, exactly. That doesn't mean shit.
I'm saying, like, what, did you refracture your foot, or like what the fuck's going on here?
Well, that's what I mean. Yeah, it's like we're just shrouded in mystery at this point.
I mean, he did shred the boot early in the week, so that is one good sign. Obviously, I think that they could be able to run the ball against Kansas City, because during the season they were giving up over 100 yards a game. It's definitely going to be on Bell territory if I ever seen it.
Yeah, I mean, that guy can get it done wherever, whenever. So, and I just think that it's really going to come down to Kansas City's defense, this week to set the pace in this game. If they can stop Pittsburgh early and often, they can stay in this game. It's their kind of game, but they need that defense, because we both know if it becomes a shootout, Alex Smith is not going to be able to keep pace with this dynamic offense.
Yeah, I mean, this does seem like a game where if Pittsburgh can get out to an early lead, they might just be able to boat race them.
Yeah, I think
it's not a race you're going to win.
I think that the tone for this game is going to be set real early. It's either going to go one of two ways. Pittsburgh will get out to an early lead and set that tone with like some explosive plays on offense, early on, or Kansas City is going to come up with some key stops and keep this game really close, and then we're going to kind of see by halftime what kind of game this is going to develop into.
Well, if they can get some pass rush on Pittsburgh, Big Ben's probably not going to be as mobile as he normally is.
Oh,
so,
definitely not.
If Justin Houston, depending on how healthy Justin Houston is, if they can get in there and they can disrupt the pass, this could be a game that could very well go Kansas' way.
It could definitely, yeah. And you said it better than I could have said it. Look out for these pass rushers, because Big Ben will definitely. We're looking at something where he could either re-injure, his foot/ankle, or he could be taking a lot of sacks, or he's going to be on the run.
And that's my reasoning why I do think that they're going to lean on Le'Veon Bell in this game. It seems like every time they do lean on him, they typically end up winning, because they just kind of get 4 yards here, 5 yards there, and they just kind of nickel and dime you down the field, and it gives them the ball control, keeps their defense off the field, and that's really the recipe for success for Pittsburgh.
Yeah, I would definitely agree. I think if I'm Pittsburgh too, he nickels and dimes the shit out of every team, and I think that's what you look for, especially when Kansas City is not going to be able to stop. If Le'Veon Bell gets going early and often, 3 yards here, 4 yards there, Kansas City is really going to struggle, stopping them on third down.
Yep. Really, I think the question is, though, how healthy do you think Justin Houston is? Because he's been dealing with a bum knee like pretty much the whole season, and he just now started practicing. So
I think he'll definitely be on some sort of a snap count. I mean, that's pretty much guaranteed at this point, and I think that they're going to limit him to probably like 1 or 2 plays a series, type of thing. Like, I really don't think that he's going to play a whole lot. They're going to keep him rested for like key situations, I think, and then they'll use him situationally.
It was really important that Kansas City got that first round bye, because it gave them a chance to get Spencer Ware healthy, because he was dealing with some rib injuries of his own, and it looks like he's ready to rock and roll as well. And he could definitely play a big part in this game, because that's an area where Pittsburgh kind of struggles against the run.
Yeah. In any scenario, I think if Kansas City can keep this like a close game, like I said with the tone setting, I think that this could be a game where Spencer Ware really breaks out, because it's going to be a ground and pound game. Especially keep an eye on the weather too. It's most definitely going to be cold either way, and I think that this could end up being due to the weather a nice ground and pound game.
And another thing about Big Ben is he doesn't typically play very well on the road, so that's another thing you got to take into consideration. want to hear it from you right now. Is Tyreek Hill going to get it done again with another long touchdown?
Every week, I've been, talking some shit, and I'm like, he's kind of a fluky little gadget player. But no, man, every time I bet against him, he does well. So I'm gonna back it up and say that, yeah, I think he's gonna get a long touchdown.
Yeah, I've been hearing like some nicknames for this guy. I mean, some people call him Ty Freak Hill. Some people call him Typhoon Hill.
I call him Reek. My name is Reek, off of Game of Thrones.
I don't know. I've never really seen the show. I'm definitely a minority in that aspect.
For all you Fifth Downers that watch Game of Thrones, you'll definitely get that reference.
All right. A little bit of station identification. We are with the BS Podcast Network. Please check us out. We are a gold tier member. We'll be at the top of the page at www.bspodcastnetwork.com. Just, getting it out there.
Get it out.
Let's go over to the NFC. I know we really want to talk about this Green Bay going on the road against Dallas. It seems like a lot of people are on board with Green Bay taking this game. What do you think?
I think so too. I'm going to double down on what I've said all season. Dallas had a really easy regular season schedule, and everybody's like sitting here, feed Zeke, Dak Prescott, next coming of Jesus. I get it. You guys have a great young duo, but I just don't think that Dallas is there yet, and they have one and done kind of written all over this team, and I think that they will be a one and done team this year. And I think the future is very bright for Dallas, but I think that this season they're going to be out.
Yeah, I'm not quite ready to just write off Dallas at this point. I mean, yeah, they have a very young team, but they're going against the Green Bay Packers, and this is going to be a Green Bay Packer team that's most likely going to be out without Jordy Nelson. We all seen what their offense looks without Jordy Nelson last year. It was not impressive. So.
Yeah, but the Devontae Adams hadn't stepped up at that point yet, and I feel more comfortable now that Devontae Adams has stepped up. But let's hope his gloves are good, because he's going to blame his gloves for not catching balls.
Well, I mean, you even kind of seen it last week. Green Bay early on wasn't really clicking. The receivers were dropping some passes, and it was kind of looking like, oh no, if they keep missing these chances, this is going to help the Giants out. I mean, obviously they came out in the second half and they steamrolled them, but what I'm looking for is this team played Dallas before already, and we've seen how that defensive line matched up with Dallas's offensive line, and it wasn't good. Ezekiel had a really good game. If they get that guy going, it's going to be really tough for them to take Dallas out. Obviously, that's what Dallas relies on is the run game, the ball control, to keep Aaron Rodgers off the field. That's going to be the way they're going to beat Green Bay.
I think that you're right, and I can't argue with that logic. I think that if they do beat Green Bay, I think that will be the recipe. But I think that Green Bay wins because of elevated play from Devontae Adams. I think that I like him for at least a touchdown, probably about 60 yards. It's a really fluky prediction, but I think that he's going to step up in this game, and I think that also Randall Cobb is going to, coming off his really great performance last week, he's going to get very involved, especially if, like I think is going to happen, Jordy Nelson misses. And it's going to come a little bit from Ty Montgomery, too. I think that he's such a dynamic player. He's going to add another element to this team. They're going to get Christine Michael involved, a little bit behind him. And Aaron Rodgers, he seems kind of over that bum calf he had. He seems like he's healthy. He was running around a little bit, in that Giants game. So I really like Green Bay's chances even without Jordy Nelson this week.
I mean, how do you really feel about Montgomery's ankle?
I'm not too concerned on it. Really, I think that he'll be just fine.
Because I mean, we've seen it. Green Bay they've struggled to run the ball pretty much all season. I mean, it does look like Montgomery's probably their most viable option. They got Christine Michael spelling them behind him. I mean, I see this game with Aaron Rodgers once again throwing the ball 45 to 50 times, and I really think that they need to find the way to run the ball because Dallas has a pretty efficient offense of their own.
Yeah, exactly. Dallas, they have a really good. I guess I don't know where I was going with that. Yeah, no, definitely. They have yeah. They have a very efficient offense. Dallas is on their side of the ball, but you look at Green Bay, and oh my God, I am just right now. I don't know. I can't think straight. All right.
Why do you even
Green
podcast?
Do I even podcast? Anyways, Green Bay. I think that you're right. They'll probably end up throwing the ball 50 times a game, but I think that the real recipe for success is going to lie in, can they get the run game going? So I definitely agree with you. I think it's really going to hinge on the run game. If they can't get it going, either with Christine Michael or Ty Montgomery, then I don't know. I don't see them beating Dallas without it.
So you're picking Green Bay in this game. What are you projecting the score to be?
I think that this is going to be a fairly close game, and I want to say it's going to be 27-20 Green Bay.
I'm going to take Dallas in this one. It's going to be rather high scoring. I'm going to take Dallas to win 31-28.
Okay. Very Green Bay game-esque score.
I'm sorry, Green Bay, but your win streak has to end sometime. This is definitely a teamwork at the end. Let's go over to the Seattle Seahawks. They're going on the road against the Atlanta Falcons. This is probably one of my favorite games of the week. How do you see Seattle neutralizing this Atlanta offense?
They're going to have to mind their P's and Q's, man. First off, they're going to have to get pressure on Matt Ryan. That's going to be number one. Number two, they're going to have a guy set up to spy Devontae Freeman and Tevin Coleman because they're both awesome running backs that could really just make an explosive play at any time, in the game. And number three, they're going to have to, Richard Sherman's going to have to play like the Richard Sherman of old, quote unquote, and shut down Julio Jones because he didn't really do a good job, when they met in the regular season. And he got away with an odd. The reason that they were able to beat Atlanta in the regular season is because Julio Jones, there was a non-call at the end of the game for pass interference.
When these two teams met in the regular season, when Richard Sherman was guarding Julio Jones, he was targeted 5 times. He gave up 3 catches for 40 yards. When he wasn't guarding Julio Jones had 4 catches for like 99 yards. But I still don't think that they're going to shadow Julio with Richard Sherman because, Kyle Shanahan, he does a really good job of moving Julio around in the formations. So they're going to definitely look for some exploited matchups that way. They've pretty much done it all year. I think Seattle needs Thomas Rawls to do what he did last week, just completely take over the game like he did against Detroit. He had like 25 carries for over 160 yards. I don't see him doing exactly that, but I definitely think they're going to definitely have to rely on him to definitely neutralize that offense.
I absolutely agree with you. I think, Seattle, every year they show me more and more, this Russell Wilson era Seahawks team, they show me that they're kind of a one-trick pony. They're a team that really can't be successful on offense if they can't get that run game successful because I don't want to sit here and say Russell Wilson is a game manager. I think he's a little more than a game manager now. I know I've said that in the past. But, this team relies on a run game, at least to keep teams honest, so they have to plan for the run, and it opens things up downfield. But, when with the offensive line in the state that it is in, for Seattle to be successful, they have to have Thomas Rawls completely take over the game and get some stuff going, or else this is going to be I think it could be a pretty long game for Seattle.
Another reason why I do like Seattle in this game is the fact that they're seasoned. They have a lot of playoff experience. A lot of the other guys are playoff performers. They always seem to elevate their game. And, we haven't even seen Jermaine Kearse. Jermaine Kearse, he is like the playoff guru for that team. He always seems to elevate his game. They also got the other guy, Paul Richardson, making plays. Baldwin had an amazing game. At least one-handed catch he made in the end zone. He kind of stole a touchdown away from Kearse, actually.
Yeah. Well, and I think the real the biggest thing I like about Atlanta this week is because they're playing at home, and Matt Ryan, this year he's pretty much played good, really all season, but he plays like on another level at the Georgia Dome. Like that's pretty much been the story all year. He's kind of a dome quarterback, and I really like that they're in a dome for this game.
So you're taking Atlanta in this one?
Yeah, I am.
I know I've been saying I think Seattle can win this game. I think Seattle can win this game, but that's just to make the show a little bit more interesting. I do think that Atlanta is ultimately going to take this one. This is going to be a game where they're going to win 35-28.
35-28. I like Atlanta a little more than you do this week because I am taking 31-20 Atlanta.
Okay, so we got Atlanta, and you got Green Bay making this week. Does that mean, are you looking kind of towards like a Green Bay making the Super Bowl?
No, I don't think so. I actually think that I like the Falcons from the NFC this year to go. To be honest with you, I think that the Patriots are going to run away with it this year. They're my consensus pick in my book to win the Super Bowl, but I think that Atlanta is going to go to the Super Bowl this year.
I desperately want to see Atlanta make the Super Bowl. I was participating in the Falafel House Playoff Challenge after the wild card weekend. I am technically I'm tied for fifth, but two teams cheated. They set illegal lineups. So technically I am tied for third right now. And the way I constructed my team, I constructed it to where I think that New England is going to meet up with Atlanta in the Super Bowl because I have both Tom Brady and Matt Ryan. I'm sorry, no, I lied. I got Aaron Rodgers, but I do think though that Atlanta's going to go to the Super Bowl.
Yeah, that's actually funny that we have the same pick for the Super Bowl. I think that New England will win a fifth Super Bowl, as hard as it is for me to say that. But I would love for it if it is that. I think in my heart I would want Atlanta to win, but I think that New England will run away with it this year.
I just want to see the two best offenses in the NFL duke it out in the Super Bowl.
I think that would be awesome. I think that would be a really awesome matchup, and I think it would be really awesome to see Matt Ryan and the Falcons finally win, their first Super Bowl in franchise history. I think that would be really cool too.
All right, I just have a few more talking points that I want to talk to you about, mostly about next year, and then we can end the show.
All right.
All right, so everyone's seen Pittsburgh destroy the Miami Dolphins. If you date back to our wild card weekend show, we said, here's how Miami wins the game. They have to get J.J. going. J.J. never got going. He averaged 2.1 yards a carry. With J.J.'s late season struggles, are you a little bit concerned about him going into next year? I'm not saying he's not going to be the starter, but these low averages, they should kind of scare you a little bit, right?
Yeah, they should. I kind of blame it on the system a little bit, but at the same time, yeah, he's got to be better. There's no masking that one up. I think with the struggles, I think he still opens the season as a starter, and Adam Gase obviously has a lot of faith in him. He had a breakout year aside from the end of the season. He had a lot of fluky games, but ultimately I think he comes out as a starter next year. But he better start running with a purpose, or else he's going to lose his job.
I do think he's going to be a starter next year. And I think that maybe Ryan Tannehill going down has a little bit to do with it, but he was kind of struggling a little bit before that happened. But it definitely doesn't help. I just think that also losing their center Pouncey doesn't help matters either. So they definitely need to beef up that offensive line and maybe see what kind of situations going on with the receivers next year, because it does look like Kenny Stills could be a free agent, and he was a really good deep threat for him. He has came out and said that he wants to stay in Miami. We'll see if that happens, because Miami doesn't help in other areas of our team.
That is true.
So we'll definitely see about that. I wanted to talk to you, though, also about some of these interesting wide receiver free agents that are coming up this year. Obviously, the big name is Alshon Jeffrey. I don't really want to dive into that egg of worms right now. There's a lot of different things that can go with him. I want to go on like the tier below him. There's quite a bit of guys that could be some interesting landing pieces for some teams. Obviously, Deshaun Jackson, he's probably going to Philadelphia. That's what it looks like, right?
Yeah, I mean, the writing's pretty much on the wall. They need receiver help, and I think that Deshaun Jackson's a good fit, former Eagle anyways.
Well, let's just assume for a second that he doesn't return to Washington and they couldn't work something out in Philadelphia. Where's the team that you could see him being very beneficial for?
I think I like, and the only reason I like this is because of strictly conditions. But I like Carolina. They can get rid of Ted Ginn. Really, you were going to say Carolina too?
Yes, because Ted Ginn's probably going to be a free agent as well. Which means they have no more deep threat.
That's what I was going to say. And Deshaun Jackson has better hands than Ted Ginn, obviously. I just think that it's a match made in heaven. That's so funny that you thought the same.
Obviously, I'm not going to pick Carolina because you picked Carolina, but that's who I was going to pick. I do think another interesting spot that he could go to is maybe the Rams. The Rams are going to need a receiver. Kenny Britt.
You know what's so funny is that was my second choice too. I thought about the Rams. They popped in my head too.
Well, because Kenny Britt's going to be gone, so they're not going to pick him up. But so they're going to need another receiver as well. Speaking of Kenny Britt, I think Kenny Britt is not going to be a number one receiver, obviously, for anyone. He's 28 years old. He had the best season of his life. That doesn't normally happen. I do think, though, where do you see Kenny Britt going? I have a team in mind.
I don't really have a team in mind per se, but I think that he'd be a nice number two option, kind of like what happened with Marvin Jones and Mohamed Sanu last offseason. When they left the Bengals, I think something similar will happen to him. He'll be a second tier receiver on a team. But I think if you had me on the fly here, I would say a team like Arizona could benefit from Kenny Britt, I think.
Yeah, I do think that Arizona's going to be looking for another guy because, they lost Michael Floyd. They might not even get John Brown back. Who knows? So that's a good pick. My pick is the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. They desperately need a number two receiver. It's obviously not going to be Humphreys. VJax is over the hill. They need a receiver. Whether they go out and draft one, that could be an option. Right, Kenny Stills. Kenny Britt has Tampa Bay written all over him, in my opinion.
Yeah, that's not a bad pick either. I like your logic there. They definitely do need a second tier receiver aside Mike Evans, but I like Arizona. I really do. Don't know if John Brown will be back next year, and I think they're going to be pretty desperate for receiver help. Via the draft and the off season.
A guy that could be a restricted free agent is Adam Thielen for Minnesota. Obviously, they're going to give him a tender, I think.
Yeah, I think if anything,
it would be a nice number two option for someone.
Yeah, it would be interesting to see, and unless something happens like what happened with Josh Norman last year, I think that he'll definitely go back to Minnesota, especially because Sam Bradford really flashed some some reasoning, why he was a number one overall pick this year. He actually finally put a lot of it together, and I think that a lot of that had to do with Adam Thielen stepping up.
Yeah, I do think that Minnesota's going to retain him because I think they're losing also Cordell Patterson, which, I think he can still be like a viable slot receiver for somebody, maybe someone who needs 6'4" kick returning. Another team, I know we already mentioned them, another team that comes to my mind is Tampa Bay. They could definitely use a punt returner. So
definitely.
I know we were both thinking that maybe he could, because he had a mini breakout season last year. We thought maybe he could build on that was Kamar Aiken. He's going to be a free agent. I don't see Baltimore bringing him back. But, that could also be a nice piece for Arizona. He could be a guy that could play in the slot, like that number 3 receiver. Because I kind of see him as like a number 2 or 3 option. And it wouldn't necessarily be bad. I think he's like 6'2", like 215 pounds. He has decent size to him. So.
Yeah, I definitely agree with that. I think that he would be a nice piece for Arizona too. I totally spaced on what we were talking.
He had over 900 yards in 2015, and he fouled that up with 29 catches this year.
Yeah, he didn't get involved. He was buried on the depth chart all year.
Well, it does look pretty bad when he can't even beat out like Brashard Perriman. He can't beat out like a 38-year-old receiver. He can't beat out a tight end that hasn't played within 3 years. So that doesn't look good. So maybe it was just a fluky season for him in 2015.
Maybe so. I don't know. Maybe it was all about Baltimore forcing Steve Smith the ball because they wanted to go out on top. I don't want to sit here. I think he's still a talented enough receiver, but I think that one team will take a chance on him. Whether he does something with it will be entirely on him.
All right. I think that will do it for today's show. Look for us on iTunes, Sit Down Fantasy Football. Follow us on Twitter if you are not already. We're at the Sit Down FF. We are also on Spreaker. We're on Stitcher. You can find our shows there. Please leave us a review, especially if you've been listening to us all year and you enjoyed the show. Let us know. We greatly appreciate it.
Yes, sir. Peace out, Sit Downers.
Well, just want to let you guys know, probably coming within, because we only got like 2 shows left for this season. Or I'm sorry, 3 shows left for the season. Right? We're going to do a conference show. We'll talk about those games, and we should talk about the Super Bowl. And then what I've been working on is I've been listening to some of our first shows that we came out with back in like April or May. I've been compiling clips of all our different predictions. Some of them were really good. Some of them were fucking horrible, like my David Johnson take.
Yeah.
But I'm gonna put together that. I want to have a blast with that episode. I think it'll be very interesting.
I can't wait. I'm actually really excited for that one.
Yeah, I mean, there's some of them. Some of these takes are brilliant. Others are absurd, and there's just downright.
Yeah. I'm sure I have some pretty bad ones.
What you think
too.
you know in May.
Yeah. It was like you said earlier in the season. When one of your teams was struggling. It was like I thought I knew everything about football, and then I found out I knew nothing.
It would be the case when it comes around September.
Yeah.
All right.
That's just how fluky fantasy is, man.
Yeah. With that being said, that will pretty much do it for today's show. I'd like to thank you for coming. I hope we can.
Yeah. Say sex is great. Sex is better. Wear latex. And, don't drink and drive. Don't do that either. That's not good.
I think you just butchered the fuck out of that.
No. I wanted to throw that in there. Just stay safe. Stay safe driving,
Yeah, because there's a There's probably so much drunk driving on Martin Luther King Day, right?
Hey, man, I didn't cross that line. You crossed that line.
All right. Stay lovely, Fifth Downers.